You're taking a look at players 100 through 76 on the MLB Top 100 Prospects list, a list that was put together by the guys from MLB Pipeline, Jonathan Mayo, Callis and Sam Dykstra. All right, guys, soak it in. Jim, I'm going to start with you. I'm being told there's a certain Baltimore Oriole minor leaguer that you want to talk about from that grouping.
Yeah, Nate George is super interesting. He was one of the fastest players in the 2024 draft, Illinois high school product. But he didn't do a lot on the showcase circuit, didn't participate in a lot of events, so he kind of was an unknown. Teams weren't comfortable enough necessarily meeting his asking price, so he dropped the 16th round, signed for $455,000. And this looks like a steal for the Orioles, Greg. It's 70 grade speed, quality defense. He had 337 with 50 steals in 87 games and made it to high A as a teenager in his pro debut. So he's even better than the Orioles expected. Really interested to see what this guy does in 2026.
My pick here is number 87, the Cardinals outfielder Joshua Baez. He was somebody who really struggled with contact early in his career. The Cardinals really challenged him to figure that out. And if you compare his swing from 2024 to 2025, you see it's a lot less noisy. It's a more direct approach to the ball. The swing stays through the zone a lot longer. His strikeouts were way down. The whiffs per swing were way down. It's plus raw power, as you're seeing on the screen now. Sneaky speed from a 6'3" frame. He'll be a corner outfielder. They got him sometime in center field, but now he's on the 40-man. He's heading to AAA in 2026. I could certainly see him banging down the door to St. Louis. Guys, there were two 2050 players in the minor leagues last year. One was Connor Griffin. The other was Joshua Baez.
That's good stuff, Sam. I'm going to go down to 81, I guess up to 81 on the list and talk about Tyler Bremner from last year's draft class. Surprised a lot of people when the Angels took him number 2 overall. And yes, they did save a lot of money, $2.5 million with the pick, allowed them to be aggressive later on. But, you know, the Angels really liked him. They had a sense that there were some other teams behind them that would have taken him almost as high. And we ended up moving him up our top 100 based on feedback. The stuff is very good. It's a really good fastball. He probably had the best changeup of any pitcher in the entire class. He has a feel for spin, although the slider was a little bit inconsistent. He started off slowly in his junior year and then came on strong at the end. Doesn't have a ton of track record as a starter, but the Angels are not afraid to move guys quickly. I think he's going to show that he can hold up under a starter's workload and maybe even touch Los Angeles before this year is over.
The brand new Top 100 Prospects list is out. We're focusing in on players 75 through 51, and we're chatting about this group with the guys that put the list together, Jim Callis, Jonathan Mayo, and Sam Dykstra from MLBPipeline.com. Jim, I want to start with you. A lot of names there on the screen. There's a former second rounder for the White Sox that you want to hone in on. Why?
Yeah, it's Caleb Bonner. He's a shortstop. And the White Sox are becoming like a shortstop organization. We saw Colson Montgomery go through the big leagues last year. Talking about Caleb Bonner here. They just took Billy Carlson, 10th overall in the draft. They have the number 1 pick this year, which might be Rock Chlowski at UCLA. But Bonner signed for $3 million as a second rounder. And it's always a good sign when you're better than expected in your pro debut. And that was true of Bonner on both sides of the ball. He was MVP of the Single-A Carolina League, led the league in a bunch of different categories at age 19. Everybody knew he had power, but he made better swing decisions than people saw as an amateur. And then defensively, this was a guy people were projecting was going to move to third base, and he still might because of all the talent in the organization. But he's a lot better at shortstop than people realized. I had a number of scouts tell me I didn't think this guy had a shot to play shortstop in pro ball. Now I think he could play shortstop in the big leagues.
For me, it's number 59, the Arizona Diamondbacks outfielder Ryan Waldschmidt. He was a standout at the University of Kentucky, was coming off an ACL injury, but showed enough to be the 31st overall pick. Immediately some pro ball, 419 OBP, 18 homers, 29 steals between high A and double A. Doesn't do much at all in his pre-swing. It's just like a little light lift of the ankle, and then he really yanks the ball. With that above average speed, the D-backs gave him a little bit of time in center field. In double A, they liked the results there early enough. It seems like he might move to the corner eventually, but with that above average hit tool, above average power, above average speed, there's a lot to like for Ryan Waldschmidt. I think he could be an option for the Arizona Diamondbacks out of spring this year and potentially win a major league job pretty quick in 2026.
Now, I'm talking about number 53, Justin Crawford, and it's not just because I want to feel old having covered his dad, Carl, in the Futures game. That's how long we've been at this. But, you know, at a certain point in time, you have to just tip your cap when a guy just hits and hits and hits. He doesn't do it in a conventional way. People talk about his ground ball rate. He does hit the ball on the ground too often, though he does hit the ball harder and harder each year. He drove the ball more this past year, so I'm not as worried about that. He won the International League batting title last year. He's got a career .322 batting average. He gets on base. His walk rate went up. He can flat out run. I think he's going to be in the Phillies outfield to start the 2026 season. And he's a little bit of a sleeper rookie of the year candidate for me because I think he's going to put the bat on the ball and he's going to run the bases and he's going to play defense.
Now, this is a graphic that all 30 front offices care about. How many prospects in the top 100 do you have in your farm system? No team has more than the Seattle Mariners. The guys that put the list together from MLB Pipeline join me now. Sam Dykstra, Jim Callis, and Jonathan Mayo. Jonathan, this is big. I mean, if you're Jerry DiPoto, to have 7 top 100 guys, that's massive.
And it's crazy to think because they had Harry Ford and then traded him. So they'd have 8 otherwise to cushion their lead. They just keep adding to a very rich farm system. It's deep beyond this list. It's an interesting mix of guys who are probably going to help out this year, starting with Colt Emerson at the top, who I think has a chance to make the team out of spring training. Maybe he starts in AAA, but both Michael Arroyo and then Durangelo Sanchez, the switch pitcher, they all could impact the team at some point. And then filling in behind him, Ryan Sloan is one of the highest ceilings of any pitcher on the list. And then Cade Anderson was their top pick last year when they picked high, even though they were competing for the playoffs. So they keep adding to it, and their player development staff does a really good job of teasing the most amount of talent, which is why they continue to have such a robust group on this list.
For me, right now, I'm taking the Milwaukee Brewers. A few days ago, I might have taken the New York Mets, and then that trade happened that sent Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat, 2 top 100 prospects, over to Milwaukee. There's now 5 total top 100 prospects in this system, and they're all in desirable spots. 4 are potential shortstops, the best athletes on the field. Jesus Made, my love for him and his quick twitchedness is well documented. Luis Pena was also pushed aggressively in his age 18 season, reaching high A. Cooper Pratt might be the best defender of the bunch. Jet Williams is a good fit for that Milwaukee mold. He's short, he's speedy, he can get some power out of his 5'7" frame with lift and pull tendencies. And then Brandon Sproat, it's MLB ready pitching. That's a hole that Milwaukee needed. He could compete for a number 4 or number 5 spot in that rotation out of spring. I could see some other guys joining this list when we do our updates during the season. Guys like Andrew Fisher, Josh Adamczewski, Marco Dinges. There's a lot that's still coming in this Milwaukee system. They love to keep the wheel turning for the Brewers.
The farm system really catches my eyes, the Pirates, and it's just simply the star power with Pittsburgh. They got 5 top 100 prospects. They got the best guy in the list, and Connor Griffin, who's got the best tools in the minors, the best performance in the minors. He looks unbelievable. We're going to see him in the big leagues soon. Follow him with Bubba Chandler, who's in the discussion with, Nolan McLean and Trey Savage, who's the best pitching prospect in baseball. He can make the case. His stuff is unbelievable. Seth Hernandez had the highest ceiling in last year's draft as a 2-way guy. He's going to pitch only. It's impressive stuff, athleticism, feel. He's got it all. Pretty impressive that Pittsburgh got the player with the highest ceiling in each of the last 3 drafts, and Paul Skeens, Connor Griffin, and Seth Hernandez. Then you throw in Edward Florentino, who really emerged as a power hitter last year, Hunter Barco, dependable left-handed starter. I just love the star power in this system.
His name is Trey Savage. Maybe you heard of him?
Trey Savage, drafted just 1 year ago. Started this season in A-ball. What a performance in his 4th major league start.
And Toronto lets him know how they feel about him and about this outing. 5 2/3, sparkling for Savage.
Absolute dominance at Dodger Stadium.
Such a cool story to see a young kid like this on the biggest stage.
He flew through the minor leagues and became a household name in October with the Toronto Blue Jays. Trey Savage, that 2025 season was a movie for this young right-hander. He was a top 100 prospect heading into 2025. Now we find out he is the number 12 prospect in all of baseball. I'm back with the guys who put the list together. We got Jonathan Mayo, Jim Callis, and Sam Dykstra of MLB Pipeline. Okay, Jim, who do you think could have, and it's hard to say anybody could do the same thing that Trey Savage did, but if you had to guess, and there would be a player off your top 100 list that could have a meteoric rise like Trey Savage in 2026, who would you go with?
I'd go with Liam Doyle. The one thing that gives me a little bit of pause is I'm not sure how much of a contender the Cardinals are, but if they get to the playoffs, I'll bet you that Liam Doyle is a part of it. This guy has an explosive fastball. Guys just could not hit in college baseball last year. Led NCAA Division I, 15.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's got 3 secondary pitches that all can be solid when they're on. He loves to attack hitters. He's very animated on the mound, up-tempo guy. If he's not going to make the opening day roster, Greg, but if he did, he wouldn't be phased. I know he's going to spring training thinking he's competing for a spot in the opening day roster, and I just think he's got the stuff and makeup that if he got the opportunity, he might do something similar to what Trey Savage did.
I can't believe Jim just decided to cater to Greg's St. Louis Cardinals fandom by picking Liam Doyle. No, it's actually a very good pick. I'm going to stick with the lefty from the draft as well, and that's Jamie Arnold, who the A's were very thrilled and probably surprised lasted to number 11 overall in the draft. Had as good track record in college as just about any starter at Florida State. 2025 was a little bit up and down, but then he finished really strong. He flat out competes. His slider could get hitters in the big leagues out right now. The stuff is ticked up. He's athletic on the mound. He's got a fastball that can touch upper 90s. The slider I mentioned is probably one of the better breaking pitches from the class, and he's got a good changeup to boot. I think the A's are sneaky good. So I have a feeling that he's going to start at a high level, and they won't hesitate to move him up to help that young core of hitters if they're hanging around the AL West.
Yeah, for me, guys, let's go to the team that got knocked out of the ALCS by the Blue Jays last year in Trey Savage, and Seattle and first rounder Cade Anderson. For starters, I think the Mariners have one of the deepest rotations in baseball, right? I think that's going to allow Cade Anderson to cook and marinate a bit more in the minor leagues than he would in maybe some other organizations. It allows Seattle to manage his innings and assignments like Toronto did last year with Savage. On merit, I think he would be pushing for a debut earlier than August or September. Above average pitches, the fastball and changeup especially look like plus offerings. He's got playoff experience already. He's won a most outstanding player award in the College World Series. Can you imagine Seattle trying to push through to the World Series and bringing up somebody like Cade Anderson as a ringer late in the year? It seems like things are really set up for that to happen in 2026.
60 minutes isn't long enough for the Top 100 Prospects Countdown show on MLB Network. We try to talk about everybody, but certain guys need a little bit more love. So, Jonathan, I'll start with you. Give me a top 50 player that we need to pay more attention to.
Yeah, I'm going to give you Ryan Sloan, the big right-hander from the Seattle Mariners. They took him in the second round in 2024. Went over slots to sign him for $3 million. High schooler from Illinois. Ton of upside, plus field for pitching. It's upper 90s already now that he can reach. It's got a lot of ride up in the zone. It can cut it in on lefties, sink it. He manipulates it well. He flashes. Well, he has a absolutely plus hard fading and sinking kick changeup, and he's got a nasty slider that sometimes is plus. I think he ends up with 3+ pitches and above average control. And listen, if you look at the top 10 right-handers on our list, the top 4 are all going to graduate in the big leagues this year if all goes well. That leaves Seth Hernandez and Ryan Sloan battling it out for the top of the right-handed pitchers list, and I think it's going to be a really interesting battle.
Speaking of battles, you got the Royals who have 2 catchers on our top 100, and I feel like Carter Jensen kind of flies under the radar, even though we have him ranked at 18th. He had the best pure hitting ability among all the catchers in the 2021 draft. In the high school class, there were some questions about his ability to stay behind the plate. He's just developed very nicely in the Royals system. The plate discipline showed up first. The average and power have gotten better every year. So has the defense. Got up to the big leagues last year and hit 300 with 3 homers in 20 games toward the end of the season. He's a nice sleeper pick for American League Rookie of the Year that just doesn't get enough credit for what he's done.
Yeah, sticking in the AL Central with Tigers shortstop Bryce Rayner, the 11th overall pick in the 2024 draft. He has a two-way background, but wanted to be a hitter. He got off to a strong start last year, showed really good power in the Juan Soto / Rafael Devers territory in single A, but suffered a dislocated right shoulder on a dive back to first base. Still have some questions about the angles off the bat in terms of hitting too many ground balls and can he get to breaking stuff, but it's a really strong arm. He's got some good tendencies at shortstop. You know, we'll see how he is coming off the downtime. From what I've heard, he's gotten even stronger in certain areas. It wouldn't shock me at all if he's 25 spots higher when we do one of our in-season updates at some point in 2026.
Great stuff from Sam Dykstra, Jim Callis, Jonathan Mayo, the architects of the top 100 prospect list that we enjoyed on MLB Network.